What is going on, you guys? So we are almost in June right now, and there's still been no Armada news, and it's starting to get to the point where I just think they're not going to do it. I mean, it's like, okay, we've got 2 months until Gen Con, and they still haven't put anything out. And I'm starting to think it's just not happening. I don't think they're going to give us anything until Gen Con. I think they're actually going to make us wait all the way. So, that being said, let's talk about some Armada stuff. So today I wanted to come to you with a video about how to deal with counter, or at least some squadrons that can effectively deal with counter. So it's just something that sometimes people will do, especially if you're running like TIE fighters or a lot, people will just drop an A-wing or something like that in between your whole swarm and force you to shoot, and then they shoot back and they kill you. Especially Shara Bay here, who is the worst at it because she's got counter 3 and then her crits count also, so she pretty much kills any TIE fighter that shoots at her automatically. And see, she's so hard to kill because of the scatter. It's just, it's a real pain in the butt, especially if you're going with kind of a medium to light squadron build and you get stuck there, especially without your intel. It's just a real pain in the butt. So a lot of, there's a lot of builds that kind of run heavier on counter. Plus with Wave 7, there's more counter specific cards and combos out there. So I wanted to talk about some ways that you can have your squadrons deal with counter. I mean, certainly using anti-ship or anti-squadron fire from ships is always going to be effective. There's all kinds of tricks there. The Quasar performs pretty well with that. And so there's a lot of ways that you can make sure that your ships are doing damage to squadrons. But from the squadron's perspective, both sides have certain ways to deal with it, but generally the Empire is kind of best at dealing with counter, and I'd say that the Rebels are definitely the best at providing counter. So if you're playing Rebels, maybe you'll just do a counter of your own. But for Imperial's bag of tricks, first one I want to talk about is a classic who's I think underused today is IG-88. IG-88 is just amazing. He's got counter 2 of his own, which is nice. But he gets to ignore not only escort, or not only counter, but also escort too. So that's nice. So it completely ignores counter. So he can just shoot Shara Bay and not even have to worry about it. She doesn't even give a chance. Plus he's rogue, so he's pretty much always going to get to shoot. He's speed 5. He can get anywhere. He's always going to be able to take out those A-wings without any counterattack. That's huge. And he has a scatter of his own. He is susceptible to the single accuracy, but that's fine. I'd rather him have a scatter than no scatter. He's got 5 health too, so he's a little bit tough. He's rolling 4 blue dice against other ships. He also gets a black die against ships, and that's pretty good. Because you don't really need bomber. If you have the black die, you still have a 6 out of 8 chance of causing damage. So IG-88 is just great. I mean, he's great all around. 21 points is a little expensive, but considering how flexible he is useful for so many things. In addition to being able to ignore counter, he also can, try to take out that intel unit that is, that they can go right past your escorts. He's great for so many things. I think he's fantastic. So IG-88, one great way. In an obvious way to get past counter. Another way is with snipe. The Saber Squadron has snipe 4, so you can be outside of counter range and go ahead and shoot. And they have to be at distance 2 though. So if they're too close, you're not going to be able to snipe. If they're too far, you're not going to be able to snipe. So yes, snipe is a great way to ignore counter. It's not my favorite way because it is a little bit restrictive. But it can also potentially get you past escort as long as you're not engaged with the escort, which this is a great way that you might be able to shoot while not being engaged. And this particular pilot also has swarms, so you might be able to re-roll some of those snipe dice as well while still ignoring counter. I'm not super big on snipe though, to be honest. Let's see. Oh, now Mauler Mythal. Now Mauler Mythal's attacks are certainly eligible to be countered, but Mauler Mythal is one of those ways that the Empire has of dealing damage without attacking. Boba Fett also does the same thing, but I chose to do Maul or Mythal instead. And the Empire just has a lot of ways to get damage on you, without counter, or even if you have counter. So like Maul or Mythal might attack somebody else, but him moving there is just moving to engage with you is enough to get you the damage, and that part you can't counter against. So Mauler is a pretty big deal there. This is also a classic. We've been aware of Mauler since the beginning. So. But it's just worth pointing out that if you are going up against a big counter swarm, Mauler is a great idea. Velen Rudor, my favorite Imperial pilot. So he comes in the Corellian conflict, and Velen Rudor is so good on so many levels. But the bottom line here, for the way it applies to this video, is that Velen Rudor allows you to ignore counter, because as long as they're engaged with somebody else as well as you, they can't attack you. Now, a counter is treated as an attack. So anything that has anything to do with an attack is also going to apply to a counterattack, unless it specifically, excludes counterattack, kind of like Suntir Fel's ability specifically names that. But what this means is that Velen Rudor can attack you, and you can't attack him back if you're engaged with somebody else, even if you have a counterattack. So that's a pretty big deal. This can ignore. This doesn't just ignore counters, though. This ignores normal attacks, which is huge. The other thing that makes this so great is that Velen Rudor doesn't have heavy. So if you were to fly in with a heavy ship, like for example a Lambda, now you're engaged. Even if you have grit, you have Velen and another ship, so you still have the two ships, and you have to attack the Lambda. So it almost like takes the Lambda from a shuttle that had heavy to a shuttle that has escort. So, big fan of Velen Rudor flying with Lambdas or Decimators or anything really. But his ability, the only time he's not good is when he's by himself, and even then he still has the brace and scatter. He's like he's the hardest to kill pilot in the game. I think the only way you're going to kill Velen Rudor is with those automatic things like Maul or Mythal or Boba Fett, those kind of abilities. Maybe anti-squadron, fire from ships, I guess that could do it too. But even those you'll just brace, or rather scatter. So, it's Velen is my favorite, and he's so cheap too. 13 points. For a guy who's rolling 3 black dice against squadrons that they can't counterattack, you're probably going to get at least 2 hits. Statistically, you'll get 2 hits, but a lot of times you get 3. I blow up TIE fighters with Velen Rudor with some consistency from a single shot. Velen is amazing. Next up, Bossk. This is taking a different strategy. Now, in the case of Bossk, Bossk is the opportunity for your opponents to counter him back, but maybe they don't want to. So now you're playing mind games with your opponent. So here's one way to deal with counter, and because Bossk, when he gets that first damage, he becomes very dangerous. Because now even when he's attacking ships, he's rolling 3 dice. One of them is guaranteed to be an accuracy. When he's rolling, 4 black dice against Shara Bay, he's guaranteed to get that accuracy to stop her from being able to scatter. So he just becomes a complete killer once he's got that damage. So you really don't want to mess with Bossk. Bossk is insane. So most of the time, actually, I would say in almost every game, I've only had one game where actually Bossk was attacked. Usually people won't attack Bossk because they don't want to risk putting that first damage on him. He has 7 hull and a brace, so he's hard. He's probably not going to die unless you really have a dedicated, serious effort to try to kill him. And he's got rogue and grit, so he's hard to tie up. He's always going to get to move and shoot, or at least always going to get to shoot. And the best thing to do with Bossk is to simply ignore him, and and keep him from getting powered up. That's like the best thing you can do. And so when you take Bossk up against some squadrons with counter, people are just like, you know what, I'm going to opt not to counterattack, because you don't have to. Now for the rebels, they do have a little bit more. They like all the E-wings have snipe, so you have snipe still works, but they don't really have a whole lot of options, and we've already seen that with the Empire. The rebels have more snipe than the Empire does, but it's okay because it does have that requirement. But another option I guess that the rebels have is just to go with ships that can just take the damage. You know, VCXs are a good example, especially if you want a couple of strategic ships in your fleet. You know, have the VCXs shoot the A-Wings or the TIE Interceptors. I mean, they can take the damage that comes back. They've got 8 hull. Rebels have a lot of ships that have a lot of hull, a lot of squadrons, rather, that have a ton of hull. So that's one thing you could do. But ultimately, I think if you're going Rebels, you probably just want to provide counter of your own. And it is funny when you do see a mirror match when you have A-Wings and nobody wants to shoot because they don't want their squadrons to die. So they just sit there and fly circles around each other the whole, or basically saying stay put because, you know. But in reality, I imagine they're just like, you know, facing off like with a dogfight, like you shoot first, no, you shoot first, you know, some kind of silly scenario like that. So basically, Empire has more ways of dealing with counter. Rebels have more counter, and those are some ways to deal with counter. So hope you like this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Don't forget to check out Crabbok.com and also Discord. We got a lot of stuff going on in there right now. People have been posting some screenshots, so post your paint jobs. If you've done any custom paint jobs, post them in there so we can get some community feedback and kind of highlight some of the paint and the artwork that's been going on out there. I want to thank you guys so much for watching and have a great day.